Oh, I'm alive. What's up, everybody? How's it going? It's been a while since I made a video, and I kind of want to get back into making videos again, as I've said how many times in the past. But needless to say, I'm feeling quite a bit better now than I was over the last couple of years. And so that's making me want to do more things and take on more projects, which in turn is going to hopefully make me want to record more projects. Anyway, the project at hand is actually making a cooler, an active water chiller for my laser cutter. I know I've made a couple small videos about the laser cutter. It's one of the bigger 3050 style Chinese laser cutters, 50 watt CO2. So over the past 3 years that I've had the laser, I've just been using the old, frozen water bottle in the ice bucket kind of method. I just have a 5-gallon bucket full of water. It's got the pump built into it and everything, and I just have a bunch of 2-liter bottles in the freezer. I just throw it in there whenever I need it to run, and that honestly works pretty well. Of course, I live in Florida, so it gets hot in the summer, and this is out in an unfinished garage, so it does get pretty warm. And so the temperature, sometimes I need to cool it 10 degrees Celsius before I can actually use it properly, and that's kind of annoying, especially when I can't really control how quickly it gets to that temperature, or it can't control the temperature as is. If I need it to get to 16, 17 degrees Celsius, it gets stuck at 19, which is right in the realm of where I want to start cooling it more, or it just sails past that in the colder months, and it suddenly is 10 degrees Celsius or more, and I don't want to damage the tube if I can avoid it. Anyway, the project at hand is making an active cooler. So basically how I'm going to do it is take apart an old AC unit and stick the evaporator into a whatever that's called. A cooler, that's what it is. My brain is not healthy anymore. So yeah, that's the plan, is to modify this air conditioner, which still works. I'll tell you more about that in a little bit. Apparently recording at 4K is too much for this camera now. Anyway, as I was saying, I'm going to take apart this old AC unit and hopefully turn this evaporator down in such a way that I can set it on top of this cooler that I'm standing on and set the evaporator into water, and then have the water that's flowing through the laser cooled with that evaporator as this AC unit is running. I've seen videos online of people doing it for apparently making beer and stuff like that. You can use one of these to kind of create a chiller, and it's basically the same application that I'm looking for. So I'm going to see if it'll work. Ideally, I would just get an active cooler that you can buy for this application, which would be like a CW 5000 or 5200 or something like that, but I really don't want to spend $400 right now for that. So this is free. I think I paid like $15 for this cooler, and it just takes me however much time it's going to take. Oh, I've got the cool fancy temperature controller. Yeah, that's where we are. Temperature controller, which is basically what the CW 5000s use anyway. So with this, I can tap into, this is an old school air conditioner too. This is from probably 10, 15 years ago. So this thing has super basic controls. I know most of them do, but some of them have like fancy electronics now. This one's just straight up just a thermostat controlled on off switch. So I just take that out and put it in this thing, and boom, there you go. It's going to be awesome. So we'll see how that goes. I'm making this up all on the spot. I didn't really engineer anything, really. I really wanted to kind of go back to the old school way of how I used to make things, and that's pretty much without a plan. A lot of what I've done recently, rightly so, is planning things out, CADing things, making up diagrams, making up schematics, and I think I get so lost in the process of creating and of the product development side of it that I end up not actually doing the thing. Like, I've got a lot of CAD models of projects that I've wanted to build, and I just have the CAD models of them. I don't have the actual physical thing, because I get done with that and then I'm bored with it. So this, I'm just kind of jumping in, seeing what can happen. I know I want to use one of these. I know I want to use a cooler. I know I want to use this air conditioner, and that's about it. So I'm going to take you along with me on this journey. We'll see what happens. If it's a terrible idea, then we'll know it's a terrible idea together. It's going to be awesome. But anyway, let's get to it. I guess I didn't realize that this is the first time I've been on camera with the new glasses. These new glasses, right? The old ones were like 6 years old. This is awesome. Anyway, so this is the AC unit that I'm going to be using. This is a 5,000 BTU AC window unit that my parents bought like 15 years ago, the AC, central AC went out and we needed to cool the rooms because living in Florida without air conditioning is nay impossible. This has lived its life with a little bit of use in its actual form, but for the most part, it really hasn't been used that much. It's dirty because it's lived its life in a shed or outside for quite a while. So as you can see, the bugs and the cockroaches and stuff have made this their home at some point, but I've rid them of existence for the time being. So it's dirty, but I can clean that out. I definitely wouldn't want to use this as a window unit right now in a room, but it definitely will work for this purpose. Anyway, as you can see, I've already taken it apart to some degree. I've taken the blower off from the evaporator side, taken the foam out, taken the whole casing apart, obviously. It does still work fine. I hooked it up, fired it up, and ran it. And in its current form, ideally it should work. The only thing I really want to do to modify this for my usage is to take this evaporator and kind of turn it down such that this top part over here is going to be more or less level with the bottom base of this unit. And then this will sit in the cooler that I'm sitting on and hopefully cool the water down. I don't really know if that'll work or not. I'm sure it will, but long term, how is it going to perform? I don't know. The other thing I've been thinking about, I talked to someone at work today about it, is this is going to be submerged in water, and how is that going to how is the water going to affect its lifespan? Is this going to corrode out? Is it not? Do I have to put some antifreeze or some glycol or some anti-corrosion fluid into this? I mainly just use water. I'm supposed to use distilled water. I don't usually, but whatever. For this, I probably will because I want it to last to some degree. This is an interim solution. I will get a proper CW5000 at some point. I'm just kind of waiting for sales to get me to that point to where I can just fund it off of laser sales versus out of my own money. I do way too many things for free. When you have a laser and you like people and you're a people pleaser, it's just really bad because you're just like, oh yeah, I could do that. It's for this occasion. Oh, that's so unfortunate. People who've had hard times or a death in the family or something like that. It's just like, oh, here, I'll just do this for you, or I'll charge you a really cheap rate, and you don't make money doing that kind of stuff. It makes me feel good here, but it doesn't make you feel good in the wallet. So I'm on a tangent. Anyway, so we've established that this works. My plan is to just sit here and move this down a little bit, and then we'll fit it onto the cooler and we'll see what can happen. So let's see if I can maneuver this down to the position that I want it without breaking these lines. Because that would be bad if I break the refrigerant line, because then that would pretty much mean that this is going to not work. So we'll see if I can do that. Garage is a mess. The Miata's usually in here, but I needed room to do projects, so the Miata's out in the rain now. Whatever. So anyway, I'm going to try to see if I can get this. I've already moved it out of its original position, but I'm trying to be very careful because it's copper lines, so it should be maneuverable, but at the same time, it's old copper lines, so, I don't want to break it or snap anything, so I'm just going to try to be very gentle with this and try to maneuver it out and maneuver it around a little bit to see if I can get it to bend where I want it to be. This might need to be a time lapse because it might take a while. I gotta do it slowly. It should also be established that I am not in any sort of field that regularly uses copper lines. I've dealt with copper before and dealt with copper tubing and such, but not in any sort of useful capacity. So knowing kind of the maximum amount of bend and stretch and work hardening that this particular setup will, get ruined from is not something that I possess the knowledge of. So I'm going to be very, very careful and probably more ginger than I probably could be. Someone who's done this a lot probably can just bend it and it's good, it's in place. But I don't know where the limit is, so I'm going to not chance it as much as I can. So, yeah. If it looks like I'm going slow, it's because I am. Well, honestly, that's not too far off from where I want it, so I kind of think I should plug it in and make sure this thing's still working. Make sure we don't have any leaks. Plug her in, and yes, the control board's sitting over here just dangling. Pressure's working.
I feel it getting cold.
Alright. I'm going to let that thing get down to the temperature. Just see. Make sure it's still cooling properly. It's definitely already getting cold and condensating, so I didn't break it. That's cool.
Yeah, it's already getting frosty.
Yep, it's already iced. Sweet. So that's cool. More or less where I want it. The thing still gets nice and chilly. Alright, I think we can probably mount this. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna mount it. We're gonna do that together. Alright, so to figure out where I kind of want to put this. I want it to be hanging off the side. You know, it's kind of placed where the fan's going to be blowing this way, and then this is going to be sitting here somewhere. So I'm going to try to make it look halfway decent. It's going to be cobbled together, but I'm going to try to make it look, you know, it's not going to look engineered, but it's going to look like someone who took an engineering class or two attempted it. You know? I guess anyone who's doing something like this probably isn't a complete moron, but still. Alright. I can move it over a little bit. Alright. It's upside to having a SLA printer is you always have rubbing alcohol close by. Alright, so I got roughly where I want to cut out the hole. I just have to cut out the hole, which probably need to figure out how I'm going to do that. How thick is this? Let's see. What the... A jigsaw with a blade that's rated to cut plastic inside the container that needs to be cut? How serendipitous. Anyway, I'm going to cut this out with this. And no, I'm not going to pre-drill a hole because I live on the edge. And speaking of living on the edge, I need to get a new battery for this. Alright, now that the battery crisis is over, I guess it's time to cut this or something. Battery powered tools are great, especially the new ones with like good big ass lithium batteries. Like, I don't know, man. This is great. We live in a good time. It works surprisingly well. I used to do things like this as a kid, and I didn't have like power tools and such, so I would like probably have done this with just a hacksaw or something like that, like a metal hacksaw, not even like a, you know, a sharp, you know, very kind of broad-bladed saw. Would have taken me like half the afternoon to do it, but I would have gotten it done. That was before I was an adult and realized that life sucks. Life's getting better though, I should say that. I should probably mention, speaking of life sucking, the last couple of years have been kind of not in a great place, literally and figuratively. I mentioned in one of the Miata videos that I got laid off from my job doing engineering, and I needed a job quickly, so I went back to the Lowe's that I was working at when I was in school and when I first started doing stuff in this channel. And it's fine and dandy, a lot of good people that I worked with, I enjoyed the job and everything, but you know, you don't get paid very well at retail stores, and especially when it's a retail store that is has been through CEO changes and new CEOs prioritize you know, profits over people, and it just became a really not a great place to work. Great people still, even people that I didn't like were still good people. You know, it wasn't a hostile environment. It was just a lot of changes that, you know, were not, they were anti-people, anti-consumer, and anti-employee, and I wasn't having a very good time. But luckily, recently, like 2 months ago now, I was able to get a new job back in the engineering field, so that's cool. So now I'm helping design and kind of modernize a company that makes custom boat trailers. So that's pretty cool. I'm having a good time, back to having a consistent sleep schedule and all that good stuff. Like, I'm enjoying all that stuff. So that part of my life is certainly getting better. So hopefully it's put me in the more in the mood to want to do projects like this. Just in the 2 months that I've been there. So it gets my engineering mind thinking a lot, and I'm really enjoying that. So positivity and things being on the up are certainly something that I'm looking forward to. So anyway, thought I'd just let you know I'm getting better. I'm going to go properly dispose of this plastic in a recyclable container. He lied. The problem with being a maker and being someone who collects things is you build work surfaces to build stuff on as my water pump runs. Oh yeah, my dad's taking a shower. You build things to, work on, have surface to work on, and then you just fill the work surfaces up with things. So you end up not having any work surfaces to do projects on. A lot of the things that's been limiting me, among other things, is I want to go do a project, but I don't have either the space to work on the project, or it would take an immense amount of cleaning up or reorganizing things in order to get the tools and the things that I need to do the project. And that's, sometimes that's just too much. And so I've been trying to, prioritize when I have time going out and working on cleaning up the garage, for example, or something like that to, try to make the space better for me to do projects like this. And I've been doing a pretty good job, I think. Certainly better than I was. So that's cool. Anyway, we're going to test fit this thing, see if it fits on here. I have no idea if any of these dimensions or anything is right, but we're going to find out. I'm going to carefully lift this up. Oh, I forgot this compressor's freaking heavy. I haven't moved this since I started taking it apart, so that's fun. Anyway, let's see how she goes. Alright, so it would go in something like so. Yeah, something like that. Alright, just gotta do a little kajiggering, and I think we're making good progress here. I don't like that these are crossed up and twisted, but in order to make that knot, that would be probably impossible, and I'd probably break this everything, so it's gonna stay like that. Should have probably, while this was, in a reasonable position, I should have probably just cut this whole thing off. Hindsight is 20/20, which is why I wear glasses. Alrighty, got the little section out. I had to use methods that I don't condone, and I'm talking medieval methods. I'm talking illegal methods, methods that they wouldn't use in hellholes like Guantanamo Bay or New Jersey. I'm going to be completely honest, how it's sitting right now is probably good enough for what I need. I actually have some pipe insulation that I'm probably going to put over this to help insulate, because of course. I gotta find it though. I'm also gonna see if I can cut this somehow, so I can still have an access panel, preferably hinged. Maybe it won't be. That might reduce the structural integrity of all this. Not that it matters at this point, but I want to keep it somewhat decent. Conveniently was on the floor next to me. And please remember, like I said at the top of the show, I didn't engineer any of this. I'm making this all up as I go along. So if some of this is kind of cruel and not thought out, it's because it is cruel and not thought out. I really wanted to just kind of figure things out as I go along for this, and that's what I'm doing. It seems to be kind of working, but just to some degree, not to the full degree. Probably should have put this in there before I slotted this thing in there. I could take it out, but that's a lot of effort. The thing I do have to do, other than clean this a little bit more, is figure out how I'm going to mount this to this. I think I'm just going to sail it, a screw, straight through this base a couple times into the plastic top, and just call that a day for a little while. Probably put wheels on this at some point, or put it on a wheeled base, because this thing's heavy. Especially when this is going to be full of water. It's going to be a pain in the butt. Alright, so some of you out there may be looking at this and think like, oh, you might be typing away that, you know, this is a bad idea because, you know, you're submerging this in water, it's going to corrode, things like that. I'm aware of that as being a possible issue, and I'll address that when I get to that point. But for right now, it's not really a big priority. I mean, it is a priority, but it's not a big priority, at least right now. I'm not super concerned with it. I just want, this is a proof of concept, number one, and then it's, you know, just me having fun, number two. So I don't plan on making this last, you know, till I have grandkids. This is really just to see if it'll work. And if it doesn't work, then I'll say screw it and I'll keep using the way I've been doing it. And then eventually get a professional cooler, which is basically the same thing. I guess I shouldn't be standing right in front of the freaking camera. Gotta see what I'm doing now. A little bit more. Alright. It actually kind of worked. It doesn't look bad. Like, I mean, it looks bad, but it doesn't look really bad. It doesn't look like a complete idiot did this. It just looks like someone who, you know, doesn't really care did it. I think before I go too much further, I'm going to try to sail a screw through this just to hold it in place. Might be safer. You may be asking yourself, what kind of screws do you use to screw plastic to plastic? And that's easy, wood screws. Of course. Oh, I need a bit. God damn it. I grabbed a drill because I was going to drill a hole, but I think I'm just going to sail a screw in. So, impact driver time. Let's see how it goes. I've seen worse. I'm being sure to not use any of my good screws. I do need a longer bit though. Which now means I can cut through this section so I have access to pour water and stuff into. Something I should have done at the beginning, but we can't all be professionals, I guess. My thought process is I use a circular saw set to a reasonable depth, and that should get me most of the way there. Should I mark a line? Okay. I gotta be reasonable somewhere. We're gonna eyeball it though. I'm using a ruler. And I'm gonna freaking eyeball it. Oh, there's no Sharpie left, you piece of Sharpie pen. Most of the way there. I think I'll jigsaw the rest of the way. Hey, that's actually sitting in there pretty decently. And this is kind of sitting how I want it to sit. Put some screws in here so this doesn't open up. This gives me plenty of access to pour water in. I'm going to be drilling through the sides for the water inlets and outlets and temperature probing and stuff like that. I have quick connects that I use for that already. I'll just be transferring it over to this container, but I still want this to hinge. Maybe just put a freaking... Oh, dude, if I can put a hinge right here, that'd be awesome. I hate when I know I have hinges. Like, I know I have hinges. Like, many. I just don't know where they are. One of the projects I've been wanting to work on is kind of going through the shop and kind of cleaning up and consolidating a lot of things. And there's a lot of hardware and bags and such spewed about, and I've been wanting to actually go through and kind of put them in containers that make sense and organize the hardware. Like, I've got a whole nice thing for fasteners over there, but you know, there's a lot of hardware that's just in bags and boxes and stuff throughout the garage, and I don't know where any of it is. That'll be part of the plan at some point, but I guess for now this is good. Alright, so we are currently in this position where this is roughly mounted in place. The evaporator is inside and actually sitting pretty decently inside of the cooler here. I've got an access panel that I can get into. All this is going to be hinged and probably locking and stuff like that at some point. This will all be much more locked down than it currently is, but we'll get there when we get there. I don't know how we're doing on time right now for this video, so if this is, you know, a bit long, then I might actually end it right now, and we'll have a part 2 and 3 and 4 and so on until this project is finished. If not, then you won't even see this, and this will just be one long video. So in the next couple episodes, it'll be wiring in, well, for one, we're going to fill this up and test it to actually make sure that the thing can cool down the water to a reasonable temperature. And if that works, then I'm going to put in this temperature controller, mount it probably on a separate thing that would be either plugged in. I would like to have it to where it's actually like a separate thing that I just plug in with like aviation connectors or something, but I don't know if that's going to be realistic. Otherwise, it'll just be something that's kind of mounted somewhere on here. This would hook up to the condenser and replacing that thermostat switch. And this would be the thermostat switch itself, flipping on and off the high voltage. And then, go from there. And then make it look really nice. And then if it's good, then we'll hook it up to the laser and test her out, and it'll be great. But that point will come. It's late, and I need to go to bed because I got work tomorrow. But the weekend's coming. Memorial Day's coming up. Happy Memorial Day to anybody who in the United States. Of course, it's not a happy holiday. It's a commemorative holiday, but it also means that it is a wonderful day for racing, F1, IndyCar, and NASCAR all in one day. And I'm a huge racing fan. That's my number one thing. So it's a good day, certainly, for me and racing fans. And I also get Monday off, so that's even better. So I'll have a long weekend to work on this project. So if this is, part one, then it'll be great. You're going to see more of me coming soon. That'll be it for today. And until the next iteration of this video, I'll see y'all later.